guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'll be reviewing Tesla. So Tesla is the newest biopic about Nikola Tesla, and it really is more of a whimsical and surreal take on his life, starting with his time working with Edison to when he kind of falls out of grace. And I was a little surprised. I didn't really know a lot about it. I just knew Ethan Hawke was playing Nikola Tesla. And as the movie starts, it seems kind of normal. Seems like it's going to be a, your typical biopic, and then it gets kind of strange. You get this narration, you get these fourth wall breaks, you get this weird blend of surrealism mixed with actual history. And I really enjoyed it because we did recently get The Current War, which I enjoyed as a film. And I was like, oh, it's going to be another movie about the same kind of material. What can they do with it? How can they spin it? I feel like this story's been told plenty of times about these two central figures, these huge, larger-than-life characters when it comes to the birth of electricity. This movie turns it on its head a little bit. It's more subversive, and I did like that they made those stylistic choices. Ethan Hawke as Tesla is a pretty solid performance. He's very subdued, and I know you're playing a character who is kind of mysterious, character that people may not know a ton about, and he is a little more soft-spoken than a bombastic character like Edison. I thought overall he was pretty serviceable in the role, and I think all the supporting characters that play all of the main figures in Tesla's life also put in pretty solid performances. And like I said, this movie does really dive into some stylistic choices in telling a biographical story. It's not like straightforward like a lot of other movies that you've seen that deal with historical figures that really dive into the facts and it kind of plays out linearly. This movie jumps around a lot. The editing is a little choppy in my opinion, but it makes the pacing go pretty quickly. This is just, it hits after one event, next event, next event, and throws in these surreal things in between. And the narration is sometimes layered over some of these events to move the story along. So a little choppy, but I think as far as pacing goes, I really did enjoy the way that it kind of moved pretty quickly. When I'm talking about stylistic choices, they even did it with just the overall production of the film. There's some very interesting scenes that involve kind of a very flat background, a flat backdrop, and at times it felt almost like I was watching a play when there's different scenes that take place. For example, there's one in a dining room where it's a fake background with him talking. There's another one where he's out in a field and it's a green screen, but it's not really like your traditional green screen. It kind of feels more like a painting going on behind him than like they tried to make it look real. It's supposed to look fake. And it's interesting to see that play out in a movie. And I did like that. It just felt different. I feel like we're trying to replicate history. It feels like we're trying to tell a more surreal telling of what's going on in his mind and the things happening in his life. It's out to say at times it did feel a little style over substance with a movie that is as stylized as this movie is. But I didn't think it was too ridiculous. I think it was too pretentious at times. It knew how to skirt the line, and it had a, almost a playful nature to it at times. There's even a moment where Nikola Tesla is singing like an 80s power ballad, and that's just strange. Like, it hits you. There's different scenes in this movie that are like, what is happening? But it's in a good way. It's almost like a fever dream crazy thing that's happening. I think it made the movie more compelling. I think it made it a little fresher, a little different. I was definitely refreshed in seeing it in this style opposed to just a traditional biopic. And when I talk about, fourth wall breaks in this movie, it cuts a lot of times to a narration of what's happening in his life. And like I said, it can be a little jarring, but I do think that's an interesting style to take. There's even a moment where someone's on a MacBook and they're talking about it. There's other moments, like I said, where Nikola Tesla's singing an 80s song. There's other moments where there's like an ice cream fight between Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. So, they take liberties with obviously the history, and they kind of poke fun at how people were and the things that maybe they represented and what we do know, what we don't know, and the speculation around all these things involving these huge titans of industry at the turn of the century. Overall, I would say I definitely enjoyed the movie. It's definitely different than I expected it to be, and it's not your normal biopic. And I feel like if you go into it and you expect it to be like The Current War, a lot of these other movies that have come out that really dive into these larger-than-life characters and try to make you feel very dramatic, very over the top. It doesn't do that. It feels a little more surreal, like I said. So if you're expecting a more grounded, gritty biopic, I think you'd be a little disappointed. But if I were to rate this movie, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Definitely solid. Definitely more imaginative than I was expecting it to be. Like I said, not without its faults, a little style or substance at times. A little weird, maybe a little weirder than I would have expected it to be, a little weirder than I think a lot of people may have wanted a movie like this to be, but definitely enjoyable. I'm glad that they took some of the stylistic risks they did. So if you checked out Tesla or you're going to check out Tesla, let me know what you think about the movie. I'm interested to see what people think. I think if it's billed as a normal type movie and you go into it and you're expecting a very grounded historical drama, you might be a little surprised and maybe you'll like that, or maybe you'll be disappointed. You want something a little more realistic. Seeing Nikola Tesla up there singing into a mic, a little strange, especially even for me, as I got to that point in the movie, I'm like, this is a little weird. This is a little weird thing happening, but I liked it. I'm glad they took those risks. So again, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.